down so slow, whispers in the breeze. Let your worries go, find your calm with ease. Stars begin to glow, moonlight paints the sky. Time to take it slow, let the day go by. Settle down, feel the world unwind. Settle down, peace is what you'll find. softly glowing. Heart so easy going. Breeze through the trees, it's flowing. Life around us knowing. Whisper in the wind. Feel it on your skin. Chase away the night. Everything's alright. Stars above start showing. In the night sky glowing. Hold on to this moment tight. In dreams we'll take flight. Whisper in the wind. Feel it on your skin. Chase away the night. Everything's alright. Oh, to this moment tight. In down so slow, whispers in the breeze. Let your worries go, find your calm with ease. Stars begin to glow, moonlight paints the sky. Time to take it slow, let the day go by. Settle down, feel the world unwind. Settle down, peace is what you'll find. Quiet moments grow, gentle as a stream. Hear the nighttime flow, dive into your dream. Let your heart be light, breathe in soft and deep. Welcome in the night, restful as you sleep. Settle down, feel the world unwind. Settle down, peace is what you'll find. Quiet moments grow, gentle as a stream. Hear the nighttime flow, dive into your dream. Settle down, feel the world unwind. Settle down, peace is what you'll find.